Today, we're brewing with the AeroPress. Quick, clean, and as simple as coffee brewing gets at home. I've added the split screen view here too, so you can see exactly what's happening whilst I talk you through it. If you've been thinking about getting an AeroPress, this is that real at-home workflow. The setup, the method I use most mornings, and a few little extra things that I'll talk you through without overcomplicating anything. I'm using the inverted method here, so without the filter on, I'll add the coffee in the top, and then that way I can steep it for longer. And then I'll just need to flip and then press down. You'll see how I do that in a second. So I'm going to be dosing out 20 grams of coffee. And I've got my kettle set at 94 degrees Celsius. So I set my kettle up and then I go about dosing and grinding. I'm using the, what is this? The Presso K-Max, I believe it is. So it's a really good filter grinder, and I've got it on I would say a medium grind, which is not too bad for an AeroPress. You don't want it too fine, like espresso, but you don't want it too coarse either. A nice medium grind so you can brew fairly quickly, under 2 minutes. I always just give my grinder a little tap just to, if there's any grinds sitting in the bottom of the grind chamber itself. There you go, I can tap them back in. No grinds go to waste. Right. And the kettle shouldn't be too far off. Now I'm going to rinse my paper filter. I've got paper filters, I have metal filters, and I have a cloth filter. I might use the metal filters today, but these paper filters, the Acer filters, they're an awesome paper filter for your AeroPress. Now, I have a cloth filter, which I keep inside this container, but this container is for my 10-mile ultra-fine metal filters. Now, these are fantastic filters for AeroPress brewing. You can see there's two different ones here. The one on the right is the ultra-fine, and the one on the left is just the fine. I'll use just the fine one today. You can use both. You can use either of them. Sorry, I'm using the ultra-fine one. And it really does give you almost that between paper and cloth flavor. The coffee in here smells delicious. It's incredible filter coffee from Kenya. I'm just loving it right now. Waiting for my kettle to heat up. Should be pretty close soon. But yeah, I don't know. I just choose a filter differently every morning depending on how I feel. If I want something less oily, then paper. If I want something a little bit more full-bodied and strength, then metal. Right, so my kettle's ready. 94 degrees Celsius water. And I just pour straight in. You know, I'm not using scales because it's a pretty standard volume. Like every time I set up the AeroPress like this, I can only pour so much coffee into the AeroPress. So it's a nice standard ratio, a nice standard volume of hot water. This is just a little bit of a pre-infusion. I've added a little bit of coffee up to about the 3 line, given it a few stirs, and I'm just going to wait a little bit here so the coffee's just blooming and degassing just that tiny bit. Then I start adding more water, and then this way I don't get to the top of the AeroPress and it just be super foamy. I really don't want that. I want to try and get as much water into the AeroPress as possible. I love how when filling it up, it kind of does its own stirring. It just kind of has like a vortex inside, which I think is cool. So I've rinsed the metal filter already, and this just going to get some of that water that sits inside there. It sticks to the cap that way, so when I flip it over, it doesn't fall out. I find if I don't rinse the metal filter inside the cap, and then flip it, that metal filter will always fall out. So having it rinse gets it to really stick. Now you also notice in this inverted method, I pressed down the AeroPress to remove any air gap. You can see this is the Presso, what's it called? The Presso Mezza. I bought this back in 2014. They're no longer sold, but I love this one. I think I bought the last one available in Australia at the time. It was a flat pack. It's really cool. If anybody makes them, just bring them back. I think they're awesome. Nice little, they hold everything that you need for your AeroPress, keeps everything nice and tidy. Ready for my flip. Did make a tiny little bit of mess there. I do my Scott Rouse spin. Do that for V60s, but I also do that for my AeroPress. I set my lever up. And then I just plunge. Now, I'm not plunging slowly. I'm adding a little bit of weight to the lever. Now, if I was pressing down on the AeroPress, the same thing would apply. I'd have my elbow upwards over the AeroPress, but I wouldn't really be putting too much weight down. Just letting it come down in its own time. Don't push too far into the hiss. You'll hear a hiss at the bottom. You don't want to push it too far to the hiss. As you can see, there's still some water in that chamber. I didn't get all the water out, which is just fine. Tuck that away nice and neat. Now I'm going to do a bypass here. So I just top my water up again. I used 20 grams of coffee, so it's pretty strong. And I'm just going to top up so I get a full cup. When it comes to cleaning the AeroPress, obviously this is one of the best things about the AeroPress is how easy it is to clean. Just remove that metal filter, give it a quick rinse, try and get off all those grinds. Obviously you don't want to throw your metal filter out accidentally, so that's one thing you can accidentally do sometimes. When you pop out the rest of the grinds here, which is so easy to do, done, pop straight out. There's barely any mess left. Just a quick rinse, everything's cleaned. I'll leave that there to dry. And there's my coffee. A few drips on the bench, but I'll clean them up. Thanks for watching. If you have any further questions, throw them in the comments section down below. Yeah, it's a good coffee.